Welcome, Black.
Welcome, Black. You are listening to the Seeds of Revolution, Daughters of the Whirlwind podcast,
where we discuss legacy, history, resistance, and forward movement.
The revolution is live. Hey. Peace, sisters.
Hey, y'all. What's going on, Epulata? Aiyisha.
Hey. Happy to be here.
Very happy to be
Doing
here.
great.
Same. Always happy to be with y'all.
Yes.
Yes.
Time.
too.
My sisters.
I love it.
I almost sang the Color Purple song again.
Yeah.
So
Go ahead.
you know,
Go ahead.
y'all
You want to
realize
do it? You want to do it?
No, not
that one.
Y'all
The
don't
new.
realize.
Oh,
I
which
realized after watching it back that y'all didn't know what I was singing.
Oh no, I did know what you. I knew what you were singing. We just didn't join in.
Because Sister is
Tell
my
you,
song.
why would I not know?
You know we know the movie like
Y'all didn't join
the
in?
back of
Yeah,
our.
we just didn't join
No,
in.
that one's from the Broadway.
I know that
Sometimes
we-
you don't have to join in. You got it. Solo dolo.
Look at
See
her.
what I
look
did?
at-
When?
Go
Yeah.
ahead, sing it.
it.
I got one.
We got points come from.
Why don't you?
Well, wait, where was that?
I got mine.
She was good. Until I be sure. Y'all remember Red Fox used to do that every time.
No, I'm too young for that.
You never.
You
You never watched Sanford Son?
Yeah, but he
He
did
used to
what?
do it.
First of all, Red Fox was repeated. You saw it. Tell you why you watch TV with us.
He would like.
I'm asking
It would be.
to
It was a
repeat what
singing
you
part,
said.
and he would do this part, and he would say, "Until I be sure."
Right.
Like he was just really getting ready to.
Go on.
Yes.
Missed that one.
All right.
Never mind. Fine.
Okay, so we're back, and we're back.
Yes,
And
and
we
we're
are
back,
back.
y'all. Thank you all for listening, for tuning in.
Yes.
For learning new things.
Yes.
For sharing, for
Yes.
reposting.
And today is a special day.
It is.
Today is
A day that everything will go your way.
Okay.
Today is a special day. Not just any day. Not just any day.
Right.
You can have anything.
Right.
No, today is
It's-
your daddy birthday.
Yes, it
is.
is. Farah Kuzaliwa Baba.
Raha
Kuzaliwa to you. We love you so much. We love you, we do. Farah Kuzaliwa to you. We love you so much. We love you, we do. Farah Kuzaliwa from the nation to you. All the ancestors send their blessings to you. The seasons are changing for you and for me as we struggle to be strong Africans free. Farah Kuzaliwa to you. We love you so much. We love you, we do.
Break it down.
Farah Kuzaliwa to you. We love you so much. We love you, we do. Farah Kuzaliwa, Farah, Baba Farah Kuzaliwa, Farah, Baba Farah Kuzaliwa, Farah, Baba Ahmed.
I love that.
Yay.
We love you and
Yes,
miss you, Baba
so
Ahmed.
much.
Yes.
You know, he would have been here
All the
doing this.
time. Yeah, he would have did his little dance. I have that video of him when I took that cupcake to him that one year and singing, and he was just.
Grueling in his chair.
That's what he did.
Ahmed
With that smile.
Obafemi.
Yes.
Rest in
Definitely
peace.
miss you, Baba.
He was born on this day in the year 1938.
Woo! He was
Now that brother was.
Oh!
We used to
No, we
always
used to
say
say
that
that
Ahmed
when
was
we-
the oldest person we knew. Like growing up, like Ahmed
Yes.
always had gray hair.
Always. We'd be like,
He did have it for a long time.
how old are you, man? We'd be like, you are old. Like, remember we found that picture?
I was just about to say that.
So we found a picture at the
know
house
if
we
you
lived
know
in
about
on Avon. It was like a picture. It was like
it
a
was
little
a baby
boy, but
picture. He
with
had
an
on
old
a
man
Kangol.
face.
He had an old face.
And we
And so we
sent
was
it to him. This
I
is
know what
Ahmed's
picture y'all talking
sonogram.
about.
We first we said it's Ahmed baby picture. Then we were like, nah.
No, this is sonogram.
Sonogram. Hilarious.
Oh, goodness.
And we said he knew. We
Anybody
used to
who
always
knows
tell him
Baba
too.
Ahmed, y'all know that he was a jokester.
Yes.
Oh, all the
yeah.
time.
He got jokes forever.
Yeah, and had a name for
Yeah,
everybody.
Baba.
A name
Yes,
for everybody.
yes.
Or everybody was ugly.
Right. Oh
Yes.
yeah, ugly. That was his favorite.
I was
Hey,
happy
ugly.
How you doing, ugly?
I was like, man, he stopped that too. Because I'd be like, hey, uglier. And then mommy didn't like it. Mommy's like, stop calling my children.
Yeah. She got real serious.
And that would make him do it more.
Yeah, exactly. You know, Falani. I do what I want to do.
Well, yes, happy 85th birthday, Baba. We miss you. We love you.
Yes.
Yeah, and you're still here with us.
Yeah,
Oh,
and you know the
absolutely.
one thing, even though he was old and
My father looked good.
He had
no,
a
I'm
young
not saying he
spirit.
didn't look. You can look good and be old,
He
but
had a
his
young-
spirit
You
was
said
young.
old in face.
bet-
He be
Yeah,
in the
had a young
club,
spirit.
man.
Oh,
he-
definitely.
He was in the clubs in the 70s.
everybody-
Them streets.
70 years
70
old.
in the
I'm talking-
2000s.
She's talking
No,
about
I'm talking about
in his
his
70s.
age.
Oh,
In his 70s, he be in the club. Talking about, give me a tonic. Just a tonic, no
Not a
gin.
tonic.
Yes.
Ooh, Ahmed, we got so
in the
many
club on
adults.
security.
Exactly. Nah,
Yes.
man. He was definitely one of the best Abbas
Yes.
to have.
Ellen
And,
Sue.
Listen,
And
we
he-
did a
and-
lot. We did a
yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
yep.
Got
Yeah,
to
that's
travel
one of
with
those
him. My
things
first
where-
time to Africa was with him. So that was amazing. It was
Yeah.
him and mommy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That was funny.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know.
that was
Your
funny. Because they got on each other's nerves.
I know they did.
And I know that was great too.
Right. I should have recorded it.
And Oliver was there.
Yep.
That was the
Was
next
Oliver
time.
there?
That
Okay.
was that mommy didn't
Another
go. That
trip.
was Baba
Yeah.
and Oliver.
Yeah.
That was when I
Okay.
took the twins.
Yep.
Yeah.
His best friend.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Yep.
They were
Nah,
Yes.
he was a great,
we give
great
thanks
man.
for Baba Ahmed.
Yes.
Yes.
And the legacy
Yes.
that lives on.
Yay.
Absolutely.
Ashe.
Ashe.
So how y'all feeling today? How y'all feeling?
Feeling great.
Feeling great.
What are your
you know?
feelings?
Yeah.
Feeling
I'm feeling
Might
great.
go have a cake and put
Feeling
85
thankful.
on it.
You need to make a coconut cake.
Oh yeah. Go ahead now.
Yeah,
Go
maybe.
and make him his cake.
Carrying on the
decide.
tradition of Oliver.
It was.
He always look for you. Fool, you gonna make my cake?
I know.
Right.
I'll be like, oh, okay. I got you.
Couldn't say no.
Yep. Never could say no now.
Yeah, you can't tell.
Might have to cook his salmon and rice today. You know, he
Oh,
loved his
yeah.
yellow rice and salmon.
Mm-hmm. And give him a little wine.
Yeah.
Little
His
Moscato. Don't just do
You
any
got to be
wine.
very specific.
If it ain't
Moscato.
Moscato, he don't want it.
Yes.
He
I
said,
remember
"Hollywood."
he was drinking
So
that
hilarious.
them last few days. Remember you bought him that Moscato?
Yeah.
He was like,
through the straw. Through the straw.
Not Moscato through a straw.
Yes.
Wow. I'm mad at y'all for
he
doing
enjoyed
that.
it. Hey, look, he
Hey,
asked for
that's
it.
what he wanted.
Yeah.
Hey, listen.
We got you, Baba.
Get the people what they want.
Yeah, exactly.
that's true.
Exactly.
That
Yeah.
is true.
Nah, he was a
Yes.
great grandfather too.
Yes.
He was probably the best.
Yeah, because he did all the things with them.
Everything.
He would go to Six
Yeah.
Flags.
Throw him up in the air when they was little.
Taking him to camp.
Yep.
Yes.
Taking them to camp.
Yep. Staying up all night.
Yeah.
Like you,
Going to
I'll
the
be like,
movies.
you
Whatever
gotta
they
be
wanted to do,
sleepy.
he would take them.
He wasn't though.
Yeah,
He had
right.
a lot of energy.
He would do
He
it.
He
did.
definitely
Yep.
did.
He would do it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a blessing. We
Yep.
thank him.
He
We
was the
talked about
best
him on the
uncle.
last
He was the
episode.
best great uncle. Like,
Remember we talked about
everything.
how he just went and did whatever.
Yeah.
He didn't give you no details.
Yeah.
It was just show up and get in.
Yeah.
So when we went to New Mexico for them 2 weeks, and him and Brother Shabazz drove, you could see him falling asleep. You know?
At the wheel?
At the
Oh
wheel.
wow.
We'd be like, we on this hill. You good? He was, oh yeah, I'm just resting my eyes. No, you're driving.
Not while driving.
You're
sir.
driving, and it's like about 10 of us teenagers in here. We got to get back home.
Driving while asleep.
I mean, but he made those trips so fun because he would just stop anywhere. I think our journey took about 3 days. We stopped in Texas because it was so hot. He was all right, let's go to Texas and jump in the pool. We did it. Like, it was fun. And then when we got to New Mexico, I mean, it was good because in New Mexico, we didn't have no showers. It was just camping with nothing. But he made every experience worth it.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
So
with
wait,
his
the
jokes.
pool was your shower? Is that what
Well,
you're saying?
so
What
yes,
happened?
We're
because
putting this together.
so what happened? That was Texas. We got the shower. I mean, got in the pool because it was so hot. You know, driving up there. But then when we got to camp, the only way we took a shower was we would have to drive into the city, and we only did it twice while we were there in 2 weeks. To this pool, community pool, and take your shower there.
Oh, because they had
Oh, yeah.
showers in the.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was straight. Yeah, that was. Yeah,
Yeah, that
We
That
were
was thugging
survivors.
it out.
Guerrilla
Survival
living.
camp.
Yeah, that was
survival.
thug life.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. So
Thug life at its
yeah,
finest.
he gave us a lot of great memories. So thank him for that. Yeah, and experiences. That's something I'll never forget because it was us and New Mexican youth. and he built that bridge. He was like, yeah, y'all need to learn. And we was like, okay, we got it.
Yeah, we'll have to do a Baba Ahmed Obafemi episode where we talk about in detail some of the works that he's done. But definitely want to give that birthday shout out. Happy heavenly birthday to you.
85.
Today we're having a very important conversation, discussion with a special guest.
Yes.
This conversation is one that we've been having as sisters and as family for a long time. But most recently, I think we all have been vulnerable enough with each other to say when we're not doing so well.
Yes.
You know, when we're not feeling well emotionally, mentally, even spiritually, and just needing some encouragement or needing to lay down. To sit down somewhere, as aunties
rest.
used to say.
Yes.
So today we're talking about self-care and rest and taking care of yourself. And we have a special guest, Anana Johari Harris Parris.
Yes, in the studio.
In the studio, live.
Welcome.
Welcome, Anana. Thank you for accepting our invitation. To have this discussion today.
I was running to get over here. I don't know how y'all feel about the word fan, but whatever you want to have adjacent to that word, I'm 100% a fan. I love the energy, I love the mission, and I love the holistic approach to what it means to really live and represent your legacy and build a future simultaneously. And I think you all represent that so well, and it's such a pleasure. I'm soaking up this energy. Anybody that gets the opportunity to be actually in your presence, they should fight to get here.
Oh, thank you so much.
I mean it.
You're going to make me cry.
I'm already a little tired. I can't hold it back.
Yeah, you all are part of my self-care plan today.
Oh, wow.
It's spiritual, it's emotional, it's social, it's even artistic. Y'all don't ever come up short with your gear and your looks. Okay? So it's a pleasure to witness. So
you were just catching me by surprise with all this.
No, it's the truth that I'm honored to have the opportunity to even say it to you all's faces, as opposed to just liking stuff on social media or in passing.
This
or
is the original liking and loving.
Exactly. We end up presenting together in some event. But it's just I'm so honored. I'm so excited. I'm just
honored
beaming,
to have you here.
watching you all vibe with each other. And it's a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So for those who don't know, I'm just going to share a little bit of Anana's bio and some of the work that she's done. So Anana is the founder and CEO of Self-Care Agency, LLC, where she operates as the lead strategic business and self-care consultant, program designer, as well as the founder of the Sister Care Alliance. Ms. Parris also is the co-founder of the Wellness and Justice Group, LLC, and the author of Self-Care Matters, A Revolutionary's Approach. And so, as I said, Anana has served as a consultant, a leader, has done self-care curriculum design. I'm abbreviating here because there's so much, and I'm sure that Anana will help to fill in some of the gaps that I may be leaving out. But she's also the founder of nonprofit initiatives like the Afro Salsa Cultural Organization, Afro Salsa Fights HIV/AIDS campaign, and the Self-Care Day campaign. And Anana talked about earlier watching us on social media. I see you out there dancing. Getting your dance on. And dance is a form of self-care. I'm actually looking for a dance class. So let's talk. So yes, that's a little bit about, Anana. Her book is also adopted as the primary strategic self-care training tool for the Southern Center for Human Rights and the Pro-Georgia Women of Color Initiative. She has been awarded awards like the Unsung Heroine Award by the National Coalition of 100 Black Women, and the list goes on and on and on. So we are honored to have you. Thank you for giving your time and your energy today.
Welcome.
Y'all let me tear up before we start talking. Thank you for having me.
Yes. So let's get into people talk about self-care all the time.
Yeah.
And it's becoming one of those words that's been, I think, co-opted. I think we can just say it's been we see it everywhere. What is it?
Yes.
And why does it matter?
I'm glad you used the word co-opted. There's several. I like to use the word commodified, right? Because language is just how we communicate.
Yeah.
And if you get sucked into terminology wars, you can go down that kind of capitalistic route where you look at a term that is used to sell things, to sell services and all that kind of stuff, right? And so it can detach you from the power of the word, which I am 100% a fan of, not even saying it if it doesn't fit, right? So I try to teach the definition as it pertains to the program that I created and teach. And that is just the act of addressing a critical or normal need on a regular basis. That's it. And the reason on a regular basis, the act of addressing a critical or normal need on a regular basis. And so the reason that it feels so foreign or complex or disguised, like a smoke and mirrors type word, is because what it requires you to do is to begin to actually ask yourself a really powerful question, which is, what do I need? And when you begin to answer that question, that's when you actually are talking about self-care. Does that make sense? If you just reverse the terms, caring for yourself, right? It doesn't exclude anyone else. You know, I'm a mom. If my son is not well, I am not well. You hear me? If he is in need and his critical needs are not being met, then I'm not going to feel cared for either. You understand? So I always try to encourage people not to get sucked into terminology wars or to buy into someone owning exclusive rights to any term. I could tell like a million stories about that, but just rest on the definition of addressing a critical or normal need on a regular basis. And we tend to promote strategic self-care. So there's random self-care where somebody's talking about something, or I see some cute outfit that y'all may have on, or y'all make a real powerful post about something that ties to like a spiritual belief or my purpose, and I'm like, wait a minute now, and I just randomly, like, I'm so glad I randomly scrolled and I saw something y'all were talking about, and that still is addressing a need, right? But it occurred randomly. So I don't teach random self-care. I teach strategic self-care, right? Because to be revolutionary, you have to understand that there are strategies and plans that are in place to profit off of the needs you don't address. So if that is the case, if you're in an environment that is strategically profiting, then you need to be strategic about addressing your needs. So you can use whatever term you want, but the bottom line is people are watching you drown in words as opposed to being strategic about your needs. Is that helpful?
Oh, very helpful. Thank you for clearing that all the way up.
I like that.
And I love that you said on a regular basis. Because oftentimes I will say, oh, self-care Sunday or self-care event, you know, as opposed to something that's embedded in your everyday practice. So I like the idea of it being something that you engage in on a regular basis and not some one-off thing or a day that you observe, you know.
And it may fit. It may fit, right? If you are strategic, then you've already had the preparation, say in the morning or once a week, or you're part of the strategic self-care group, whatever it is. But you have started to really dig inside to pull out what you need. And when you see those events come out, whether they're titled self-care or not, and it fits, then it works. And that's okay. But the courage it takes to kind of start with yourself. Sometimes you need support. Sometimes you need company, right? Sometimes you just need grace, right? Somebody just sit next to you while you ask that question, and they don't force their thoughts upon you. They just are there every single time you ask until you begin to unfold and peel back layers of the answer. So it's a beautiful process, but it's not for the faint of heart, right?
Because it makes me think about responsibility. Because once you ask yourself, what do I need in this moment? And I've been trying to do that more and more. When you answer yourself, then you're like, oh, okay. You feel the responsibility to do it.
To get it done.
Like, okay, I have to, I don't want to dishonor myself in this moment because I've asked, what do I need? So I don't want to ignore that. Like today I was like, what do I need? And I needed to do some yoga, and I didn't do that yoga.
Yes.
So I'm talking about myself.
Right.
Well, that's good that you're
got
saying
more
it out
today.
loud.
Yeah. Yeah, the day is not over.
Yeah, I was saying she still has more the rest of the today to do it. You just gotta say, okay,
Just
I'm gonna do
do
it
it.
at this time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what courage did it take for you to even let it out your mouth?
Right.
In this moment. So
Yeah.
you are kind of watering the plant every time you
speak
enact, right? Because it's an act, it's an action,
Yes.
right? Of addressing a regular or normal need. And so what I like to say with kind of the strategic approach or a programmatic approach, when you kind of get like, okay, I'm tired of this random stuff. Like this random stuff is not getting it.
Yeah.
I want to grow. A lot of leaders or people that have a purpose that they're really feeding into, at some point you say, you know what, I'm strategic about this. I need to be strategic about that as well.
Yes.
So when you choose to do that and you start to feel the anxiety and the pressure or the responsibility that comes with even answering the question, I always like to point out that it's better to be a participant in self-care than to focus on the perfection of it, right? It's a self-care
That's
plan.
a bar. Can you
Listen,
Because then
repeat that?
it'll become
It's
a chore.
Say it
Exactly.
again.
It's a self-care plan, not a self-perfection plan.
Yes.
But you have to detangle that which you have learned, right? That doesn't allow you the opportunity to see value in being strategic about it, right? And what happens is when you begin to say, man, I'm feeling a pressure and I'm jumping to the end and I'm already giving myself a grade. And this is a punitive-based society that believes in negative reinforcement,
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
So you don't take a test and they say, I think you've gotten better. No, they say you got an A, a B, a C, a D, or an F, right? So everything's punitive and we've absorbed that. When you go through the process of being strategic about your self-care, you start to detangle that which just does not fit. And so you stop feeling so pressured or anxious, and you start to be more curious. Like, oh, well, it's a good thing that I said it out loud. That's a self-care baby step.
Right.
And maybe you'll take another one, which is an act that seems absurdly simple, but still gets you one step closer to your self-care goal.
Yes.
And again, in this society, what happens is people begin to look and say, they judge every little thing. And so we take that on without knowing.
Yes.
That's the revolutionary part. The revolutionary part is how much can I rinse myself of what is not healthy and whole within my environment. And beating up on yourself for not being perfect is not whole.
Right.
It's not human. It's not natural, right? Your organs are perfect, but they're doing things in a way that is servicing you, right? But if you say, heart, you didn't beat right that time.
Right.
It doesn't fit.
Yeah.
So if you let something out your mouth, that was an organic choice that you made that took courage. You just keep feeding it the oxygen it needs over and over again, and you'll get to where you need to be.
Ashe.
Yeah.
And I say
Love it.
Ashe.
Yes. Ashe. Oh,
Yes.
I love it. I love it.
It's something to marinate on, right?
It is.
Definitely.
I'll tell you a little story. Is that okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I like to share this sometimes when I speak, and I feel like it's important because when you start to ask yourself the question, what do I need? You are breaking some, I don't want to say what they typically say, but you're breaking some patterns, I'll say, that can be passed down. And then some of those patterns are learned and environmental. When you say, well, what do I need? And you continue with the courage to kind of follow through, it's a game changer, but you also begin to set yourself as a role model to those who are looking. Because then you realize, have I asked my child, what do they need? Have I taught them how to say that word? What do they feel like? So the story I want to share is, I had traveled all over, speak, train. We work with human trafficking survivors. We work with people in office spaces feeling pressure. So working professionals all the way to someone just at home feeling like they want to give up, right? It's not a replacement for therapy, but what it is it's a strategy in between the sessions.
Okay.
So I'm going around doing all this stuff and I'm working it myself, right? Which my, origin story, as they say, or how I got this passionate is another story. But I'm going along and I realized one day that I'm going around teaching, I'm speaking, I'm doing all this stuff. And I had not asked my son what he needed. I done wrote a book. I done published it. There's a workbook. There's all kinds of stuff. I done got the online track, all this stuff. But here I am, never having, at this time, he was 6 or 7. I never asked him, what do you need?
Right.
So you know what happened? I was like, what, Anana?
What, Anana?
I stood in my living room and I was like, I'm about to ask him this question.
Yeah.
So I started to let the question come out my mouth, but then my chest got a little tight.
Wow.
I got a frog in my throat. And I started to be like, well,
why am I so
this is,
nervous?
I got real emotional.
Yeah.
And I was like, what's going on? So the first thing, when you start to maybe accept it for yourself, the second step is when you start to want to share that you have an interest in someone else. It's a different level of intimacy when you begin to ask someone what do they need and you give them the time to answer.
Yes.
But you also learn more about yourself that was buried.
Yeah.
Right? So now I'm like, well, what in the world is going on? So then I said, what do I need? And I was like, I need to talk about why this is hard for me. So that's what I did. So I couldn't even do it on that day that I decided.
Right. Yeah.
It took me 3 days and a discussion with one of my just longtime mentors to realize that I was never primarily raised by my mother. I was raised by my father. And I was afraid my son was going to say, I need you to be a better mother. I had some serious fears and anxieties
answers,
and the
right.
responsibility that I felt that came with even getting his answer. And it made me cry. It made me choke. Like I'm like tingling just thinking about how hard that was for me. So what I ended up doing was I took the baby steps to finally get it out of my mouth. 3 days it took. So I stood in my living room and I yelled up, Zaire. He said, yes, Mom. I said, come here, baby. So he tore up my stairs and came downstairs, came in the living room. And he looked at me with these brown eyes and these long black eyelashes. And I said, and my heart was like, doom, doom. So I said, well, sit down, baby. And he was like, okay. So, real light, living light, kids are. So he sat down and he just looked up and he tilted his little chin to the side. And he says, yes, Mama. And I said, what do you need spiritually and emotionally? And then I closed my mouth. And my heart was like, doom, 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 doom. Right. I didn't qualify it for him. I didn't define it. I didn't force any terms into his head. I just let the question stand. And y'all know what he said to me?
What?
He said, he tilted his chin to the other side and he looked up and he said, I need more hugs.
Aww.
Now, if I didn't feel like crap before then, I felt like it then because I already had this weight of perfection on me, right? Not just participating in it, but I was wanting to be a perfect mother, not just participating at my best as being a mother. You see the tie? So I wanted to cry. I wanted to let all this stuff out. I wanted to beat up on myself, but I had carved that time out for him. So I didn't say anything. He had more. So then he tilted his chin to the other side, right? And I was saying nothing, like my mouth was zipped closed. And he said, I want to drink tea with you again. We used to sit and drink tea and talk. Can we drink tea some more, Mama? And let me tell y'all the amount of money I have spent on Legos. Do you know how much Legos cost?
Yes.
The Millennium Falcon Lego is expensive. And my son can put that stuff together overnight, okay? So I'm pouring energy into things that he wants, but I had not asked him what he needed. And so ever since that day, I not only drink tea with him, I not only hug him, but I also remember the importance of continuously asking him every now and then, what do you need? And that's the revolutionary power of doing it for yourself, right? Because you have to know what it feels like so you can give someone else grace when you ask that question.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Love it.
Yeah, that was
You get us together on this day.
powerful.
And it just made me think, like, as a mother, and we're all mothers here, you do have this, you do go into this trying to be a perfectionist in it, and not realizing, as you said, participating in it is two different things, because you can perfect it based off of what people have identified it should be, but participating in it is a whole nother level, and because we don't have a manual, but hearing stories like this helps you to become better, in that process. Like I literally, there's times I have different mothers on my Facebook And I watch certain things they do with their children, and I make a note, like, wow, this is really good.
Yeah.
And I said one day, I want to produce a journal of things that you can do to help cultivate your relationship with your children, because you learn different things from others that you don't even think, like, oh, no, my child might not like that, but did you even try it? You know? And it doesn't make you a bad mother because you took a note from that mother, you know, or even tried to say, oh, let me experiment with that in my household and see if it works over here too.
Right.
You know, so what you know, everything you just brought out, it was like, okay, yeah, you definitely have to ask, what do you need? Because a lot of times we always trying to give them what they want. But what they want is only something that's tangible. It's not necessarily like we know what they need. And what they want is always something that they know, okay, yeah, I can go buy that and I'll feel good for a moment.
Right.
But it's so important to go deeper.
It's so funny you mentioned manual. I literally have a chapter called The Missing Manual. And that's why the strategy
so you
component.
wrote the manual.
I wrote a book talking about a missing manual, but you get to write your own manual.
Yeah,
right.
And what happens is when new issues arise in your life, you get to revisit what new strategy do I need. And then you're rocking with a whole different set of tools then, because now nobody can take it from you,
Right.
because you already learned these different ways to kind of check back in.
And consistently ask yourself. Because I think that was one of the things we talked about. Was it our very first episode? Or definitely like early on, just asking what we need.
Oh, yeah.
Not only on a daily basis,
That
but
was
even
early
throughout
on.
the day.
Yeah.
Because your needs change.
Throughout the
you
day.
know,
Something
it's
can
not
happen.
static. Right. It's forever changing. So, my body may need something. Like, you know, the yoga, that's what it wanted earlier. Or that's what it communicated to me.
Yes.
But if I ask again, it might say something else. A walk or whatever. So it's important to consistently ask and kind of be mindful, you know, with your body and your mind and everything.
True.
I like to say it's like a muscle, you know? And so when you first start asking yourself the question, it's like, it's like a heavy lift, you know, because you're
it
feeling
does
all
feel
this
that
stuff.
way. Yeah.
But the more you ask and when you have a place to put it, right? So you can go to the gym, you can freestyle, you can just hop on a weight, or you can have a strategy, right? For what you want to, you can talk to someone and get some feedback, right? And then that way, when you put your energy into a particular area, you're not just saying, well, what do I need in general? You're saying, what do I need spiritually and emotionally? What do I need economically in terms of my time, money, and energy? Artistically, physically, educationally, and socially, right? And you can change the words around to whatever makes you happy. What's important is that you elevate and you upgrade how you've been taking care of yourself, right? To be more strategic, to say, what do I need in any of these categories of care? Makes sense?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what got you started in this? Because earlier you said that's another story. Well, I'm interested in that story. I think our audience would be too.
Sure. So I did a lot of community organizing when I was in DC, when I attended Howard. And then also when I moved here, I did a lot with Cobra and a lot of community organizations. I care a lot about that. We were just raised in an activist household. My parents were involved in the Southern University student protest where the students were unfortunately killed. And my parents were kicked out for leading the protests. And they went from Southern to Howard. And it was just really a household where activism, but also my dad was an engineer, still is. He's retired now. And then I studied electrical engineering. And so I have a very pragmatic mind. And so I like for things to have a plan. I like for it to be practical. I like for it to actually fit. So I put all that stuff together, not knowing that when I went to deliver my son, I would have a really traumatic childbirth experience. So it's just a trigger warning for those who need to take a moment. So I'll give them a beat. So what I did was, as communicative as I was, I'm 49 now. I was 36 when I had my son. Health insurance, all the stuff that they say you're supposed to have, but this was in 2010. And so there was not as much, spotlight on maternal mortality, on, you know, the disparities between how Black women are treated in the hospital systems. Nobody really cared. And so I went in healthy. I just had an ultrasound. They sent me in, said, you got a little tear in your sac. You got to go in there. And they advanced it by stimulating, you know, labor. They caused a problem where the cord ended up wrapped around his neck twice. The issue was that the epidural that they gave me never really worked. So they gave me like 4 dosages. Oh, God. And they ended up wheeling me into the OR on a code pink because his heartbeat stopped. And I had told them that it was not working the entire time, but they didn't believe me. So they ended up having to perform the C-section and I ended up feeling everything. And so they had to hold me down until they finished cutting and digging him out with like 4 hands. And it was super traumatic. And it's always hard to talk about, but I share it because when you are not strategic, when you're random, you could potentially lose your life just because of the environment that you live in. And I just never knew it was possible. I never knew it was possible. You know, I had family members present. You know, my doctor was great. She wasn't there for that moment. So they just made decisions. And it was the first time I'm like, well, I can organize a whole march. I can write a business plan. I can do all kinds of stuff. But I did not have a strategy for being prepared outside of my own knowledge. Right, for that moment. And it definitely took just years to really heal from that physically, and then emotionally to really kind of see things differently. But I made a decision not too long after that. I was like, no, never again. We're going to take all of what you learned and we're going to figure out what would it look like if I was more strategic. What would it look like if I didn't rest upon my own knowledge and just what was in my proximity? What if I started asking myself questions and I had a self-care dream team, right, that fit in these other categories? So I started taking what I knew about engineering, what I knew about organizing, what I knew about business development even. And I came up with something practical to train my own brain to really start digging myself out of like a very difficult PTSD, postpartum, all of that. And it really worked because it just saved my life. You know what I realized I needed? Sidebar.
What you need?
One, dance was not there for me because the scarring that I experienced was so severe that anytime, and you know, I can perform West African, I love salsa, all that, but I still haven't gotten back to a regular rhythm, and a lot of it's tied to the trauma because it would just pull in that area, and it just was very emotional, and everyone was like, oh my God, Anana, you're back, let's dance. But I was just carrying so much pain. So I had to say, what do I need? What do I need? And I said, I need to change my thoughts. So y'all know what I did? I was like, you know what? I had a dream one night. Okay. Shout out to your dream.
Listen, the dreams.
They come.
Real. I tell you what's going on.
And there was this woman, she was dressed in all gold, and she pulled up in this all gold kind of like old school car with like the tires on the side, but the car was all gold. I see it vividly now, right?
I love it.
And I was just watching her, and as she rolled up, everything turned gold and beautiful, and things started blooming, and she got out, and I was like, what is she doing? I need to do what you're doing. So I said, what are you doing? And she said, I made soap. I said, soap? Soap do all that. So I ended up waking up going, what if I had the thoughts that I should be having? Because I was having horrible thoughts. This was maybe like a month or 2 after having the baby. And I was like, I need my thoughts to change. So I called someone that was creative, my sister friend and artist, Cultivate. And I said, how do you make soap? I want to make soap that has words on the inside so that I can change my thoughts. Because if anything, I'm going to wash my hand and my body. If anything, I'm going to clean myself. That I do have a motivation to do, but I don't have motivation to do anything else. And she gave me some suggestions, and I cooked and I figured some stuff with my stitches and everything, honey. And I figured out how to make soap. And so I called it self-care soap, and it has an affirmation on the inside. And so my very first one said, I'm beautiful and my body is healthy, because I didn't feel either. And every day I would wash my hands because it's what I needed. Y'all hear me? It's what I needed. So I said it, and then I learned how to put like sugar in it so it looked like a gold bar, just like in my dream. And then my friends found out. They were like, make me one that said something about money. So I made one that said money flows to me easily, and they were like, girl, this is working. So that's how I pulled myself. But I would have never thought
if you got any more of those.
I do. You know, we actually make them we go to a domestic violence shelter Center every Christmas through Sister Care Alliance, and we make soap for all the ladies, and we teach them how to say the words, and we teach the program as well. So
we have to come. I'm inviting all of us. We have to go. That sounds amazing. Yeah, amazing.
Yeah. So that's the origin story.
Wow, the Golden Lady.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah,
yes, and I think it's such a good reminder too that even when we ignore, like we really can't.
No.
Like you can ignore it, you can try.
Yeah. Right.
But the messages and what you need is gonna come up
Talk to him.
everywhere.
Talk to him.
These numbers.
Come on.
444 angel note, like all of it's been happening to me.
Yeah.
And I'm trying not to make this personal.
No, it's okay.
But the personal is political. We know that, right?
Yes.
So thank you so much for sharing that dream, because that's another thing too. We say like, let's not share our dreams, but sometimes it is empowering to share and to say them out loud, because I think, you know, when you're interpreting at 6 a.m. or whenever you wake up and you're trying to decipher, like, what did all of this mean? When you say it out loud, you get new meanings. And even other people, your loved ones, can help you to interpret, because they're seeing things that you may not see.
I always say when I do teachings or trainings or anything is that I'm not really talking to your conscious mind, because your conscious mind could probably come up with its own self-care training. You hear me? Right?
Yes.
We're brilliant.
Right.
Okay? We could do whatever it is that we put our minds to, but I'm talking to your subconscious. Right? And your subconscious also fuels your dreams, right? Your subconscious is soaking in things that you're suppressing to get through the day. But in that subconscious area, when you say, what do I need? It's a piercing between the conscious and the subconscious, because you have no choice but to start to let that stuff unfold. And you'll find, let me say one more short story. Y'all want to hear?
Yes.
One more short story. Okay. So what's going to happen is the more you start asking, the more you start, doing things, like you're going to move a little differently because you'll be more aligned with your needs. And so I tell this one story. It's along the lines of that perfection, participation, not perfection theme. So it was after I published the book, and I had some friends. You know how you have friends that you love them?
Yes.
Okay? Like family. Like, you call me, I'm there. Okay? But you wouldn't necessarily hang out with some of the people they hang out with, right? So I had a homegirl.
Circles.
Right. So I had a homegirl, and I love her, right? It was her birthday. She was like, come on. So there was this event up in Buckhead. She was like, come, we're just going to be at a restaurant, just sit and drink some wine and, just talking. I don't particularly drink, but at the time I was like, girl, I'm coming. Yeah, right? So I go, I sit down, and I'm, shout out to the Geminis, okay? So I'm a talker. If you cool, we cool. Right. So I'm running my mouth. And this one sits at the table, they'd all known that I had published this book or what have you. And because of the work I do, sometimes people, they're a little triggered, not because of me, but because of the term. Well, that term is, or anything can trigger them, right? So I've gotten used to it, and it's okay. It's just a journey of life for everybody that you encounter. Well, this particular sister, this other sister at the table, I said I didn't get something done. And she picked up her wine glass and she said, but I thought you were the self-care lady. And she sipped her wine, and the whole table got quiet because it was clearly shade.
Right.
Wow.
And shame.
Yeah. So that's a moment that most people are afraid of. Like, if I start moving a certain way, is somebody going to bring out this, I call it this emotional slavery whip that they crack, right? I write about that is an imaginary whip that you crack on yourself that others crack to try and control you emotionally from addressing your needs. Right. So anyway, so she makes that little shady comment, and I have grown in my life. Okay. Now there was a time where my response would have been a little different.
Right. Hello.
But I welcome these educational opportunities. Right. So I sat there and
participate
in a different way. That's educational, right? So the whole table gets quiet and everybody looks. And I said, well, some people do call me that. I don't call myself that, but some people do. I said, now, they call me self-care lady, and the operative word is care, because I am working on better caring for myself. Now, if they called me the self-perfection lady, I would probably be really embarrassed by the comment you just said. It would make me feel bad, even though I came here to have a good time. So it's telling me that maybe there's something you want to talk about. So if you want to chat after this, we can.
All right. Not at the dinner.
Here's my card.
Right. Now, I would have never had that response if I had not found a grace with myself.
Right.
What was the reaction at the table?
Oh, they were silent still after I finished. And so that I just smiled, and I think because I was light, and I was at peace with myself, it also set an example. Again, revolutionary.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
Because that was an act of care for her.
For real.
And for me. I chose a healthy route.
But a lot of times we could want to, retaliate, but instead you extended care and grace to
and
that
for the whole table. They all got a chance to learn
because it's educational
something.
too for them,
Right?
Because now they're like, oh,
now I have a different understanding of what self-care is.
And understanding of like what you said, because you spelled it out. Like if it was about perfectionism, then I would feel shamed, but that's not what care means to me. So you educated everybody, and not just in the terminology, but even in just how to be, a woman about it, and have integrity about who you are. And a lot of times we don't, especially when it's a bunch of women sitting together. It can become a petty, catty situation. And that's another level of educating women, that it doesn't have to become that. Like I have a thing where I don't like to be around a bunch of women, because it always ends up like that. So I usually be like, all right, I'm out, because if this is what you all want to become, I can't do it.
And I think that's a social self-care move, to remove yourself from an environment. I do want to say, though, that because I had begun to show myself more grace, and I started to realize how hard it was for me to do the work I was doing, I could tell it was not easy for her or anybody else. So only because I had poured into myself enough grace and compassion that I even have an ounce of grace and compassion for her. Does that make sense? And I can't say that this is part of my purpose in life and not continuously work on myself. So if you see me out and my teeth are brushed, okay? You see me out and I'm looking, as some would say, normal. That means I have really done a lot of work just to get to the point that you see me. And I'm okay with you not knowing that, but I'm far from ashamed that I've had to work this hard, on things that you may think are small, but are great and grand for me.
Like that purple necklace.
Come on, purple necklace. I will wear it every day if I could.
I just want
Beautiful.
Because, in the community where I live, where I dwell in, not like live physically, my title is princess, and so a lot of responsibility comes on me to be like this leader of whatever is happening. You get what I'm saying? So the other day, me and my husband had a little tit for tat, because he's like, you're the princess, you do this, and I'm like, oh my gosh. Because it's always like, he has this massive list of things he would like to be done. So, but this particular conversation was about sisterhood meetings, and something you said just kind of like, yeah, okay, it makes sense. But so his thing is always, you're at a different level, but you have to give everybody else the chance to get there. And I can be impatient with people. You know what I mean? Like, I can be impatient because I'm like, I have too much to do to sit here and try to cultivate them. And I already know that they're not ready for this cultivation. But his thing is, okay, you know that, but they don't know it in so many different ways, and you have to lead, a little differently. He's like, just be a little more patient. I know you got this, and it aggravated me. Oh gosh, I was just like, oh my gosh, he don't stop. And then I was like, you're a man, you don't get it, I go into all that. And then what you just said about grace, having grace within yourself. And I was like, maybe I haven't given myself enough grace either, because I'm just like, I ain't got time for it. And it's probably because I haven't allotted time for it either. You get what I'm saying? So it just made me think about that. And I'm sure when he hears this, he's going to be like, pat on your back, babe. But he makes good points. It's just sometimes hearing it from a woman, you see it a little differently. So I just appreciate that you brought that out.
My pleasure. And I want to circle back to this idea of terminology. Sometimes when you hear the word patience, it can mean several things, like energy, right? If someone says patience, some people absorb it as, I need to put more energy into it, right? And so if you have to put more energy into others, right, which if that's also a part of the patience for you, that also means you should have a long time ago as a leader upgraded your own strategic self-care activity so that you can actually have the extra energy.
Right.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
So anytime you think about the term patience, think about other things that are attached to it that maybe you are deficient in or you're low in.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, it will automatically increase the more you realize the reality of the role you play, because it's kind of too late. It's like being a little bit pregnant, like
Right.
you know what I mean? So that's what leadership is. You know, leadership is this thing where if you don't upgrade how strategically you address your needs in a aggressive leadership role, for you aggressive, right? Because I think motherhood for me has been aggressive, right? It's like a team of people that, you know, Nana, hello, like, come on. But in that role, when you have not owned a bit of the responsibility to upgrade how strategic you are about addressing your needs, then you're always going to feel a bit deficient when others are asking more of you. And sometimes the term that triggers is patience. Sometimes the term that triggers is mentor, right? Somebody hear the word mentor, they're like, listen.
I ain't got no time. But or teach.
Exactly. I always hear, though, that that person still needs to spend more time relearning more of what you need, because that will match your level of leadership. Right now, it's just wherever you last were when you were forced or you chose to upgrade how you take care of yourself, wherever you were, that's where it stayed. You're working the exact same activities. Make sense?
Yes.
But when you get real about it in conversation with each other or in safe areas, and you start to say, well, what would it look like if I upgraded what I'm already doing? You most likely would reach that princess level. You just probably are working on it. Is that helpful to compliment your husband's good advice? You know, I want to compliment the brothers.
You got the prince and the Anana putting it together.
But I get it, sis. I get it. And just expand your mind around when someone says the word patience, start asking, what do I need when more patience is required of me? And that's where you should start, not at the patience.
Right. Gotcha.
Okay.
That makes sense. Thank you.
You in here counseling.
Right.
We all go through it. I'm telling you, it's just some hard work that got me to this place, you know, because I needed it. I was like, this is such uncharted. When I started it, 2011, we established the first official self-care day and started writing programs. And I made the soap in 2010, though, because I was about to lose it. Like, it was really a critical tool for me. But when it came to just developing and working it myself, I've been working at it for a very long time. And I've had several tragedies, setbacks. And every time I'm like, well, this better work. Like, let me go in and say, what do I need? Oh, I have one. Can I tell you one last thing?
Yes.
Listen, you ain't got to ask. I keep looking at you like, tell your story.
Okay. So this is what I like to share too, because, and I always end up with new experiences where I'm like newly having to challenge myself to, you know, really be like, okay, Anana, this was harder than what you thought. You know what I mean? And you done said you want to do this, you want to be a speaker. You know, I just had a little stutter when I was growing up too. So even speaking is something I have to concentrate on. Anyway, so this was one of the scenarios where I was faced with something I did not think that I'd be faced with, and it really took a lot of work for me to even follow through. But on the outside, everybody's like, girl, you know you got it, right? Because most people don't want to hear that something's hard after you've already accomplished certain things. So anyway, I got invited to speak at the Global Women's Leadership Summit in Johannesburg, South Africa in 2018. And in 2017, they called me, they invited me, and I was like, okay, well, tell me more, because I'm not about to, you know, be associated with anything that's, you know, a little shady. And so I found out all the information. And what they told me was they had been going down there to do economic development with women and girls, but they were unprepared for the level of trauma that they were met with. And I'll abbreviate it by saying, P.S. fast forward, we get close to time for leaving for the trip. And maybe a month or so before we were supposed to fly out, in 2018, it was around April, May time, Winnie Mandela passed away. So I went from super excited and like, oh, let's do it. You know, the juxtaposition of social justice and self-care. Let's do it. We're going to bring over representatives from the States, Black women, to meet up with South African sisters that were heads of different organizations and movements. And the goal was just kind of unify and talk about social justice and self-care. I went from being excited, like, bring it, okay? Like, I'm so geeked that we were going to go from Johannesburg to Mpumalanga to a couple other areas and work with young girls as well. I made all the soap for all the young girls. I traveled, brought them. You know, it was so great. And then when they made the call and said, we got to have a private meeting and talk about kind of the ramifications of, you know, safety and all that kind of stuff when we go down there, my heart was like, dum, dum. Right. I didn't feel worthy. And they were just like, well, we need to see a copy of your speech. What are you going to say? Because the area that we were going to was Constitution Hall in Johannesburg, South Africa, which is, you know, a reformed women's political prisoner institution. And it was turned into a museum, but it was also where Winnie Mandela was held, right? One of the many places. And so I did not feel worthy, 100%. I was like, oh, they may need to get somebody else.
And they want to see what
like the country, the grief, you know, the unrest. I mean, it was not, it was just not a game. It was historical. It was
the larger than life
image of Winnie Mandela. And but yet everyone was like, oh, this is perfect, what you're going to speak about. And I'm thinking, I'm nodding yes, but on the inside I'm shaking my head. No, I'm terrified. I was so terrified that the day of the trip, I didn't even pack. I was just sitting on my couch. Wow. Literally. A 10-day trip, right? Wow. So for the 16-hour flight, I didn't go shopping. Hadn't even bought what I was going to speak in. Nothing. That is how terrified and just unworthy I was. I didn't have anybody that was like, hey, girl, did you pack? Right? Everybody just assumed because I had done all this stuff
that you had.
Exactly. So I sat on that couch. I was like, well, this poop better work. This little program that you made up. So the first thing I said out loud was, what do I need? Right? I just started there. And I eventually realized that I needed to get up off the couch. Okay? Right. So I said, what do I need? And I was like, I thought to myself, well, let me just say it out loud. So I said it out loud. And I was like, well, I probably need to stand up if I'm going to get up off the couch. Are y'all hearing me? You've got to dial it back sometimes. Those self-care baby steps, an act that seems absurdly simple, but still gets you one step closer to your self-care goal.
Yes.
So eventually I stood up, but I didn't move. So I had to say out loud again, what do I need, right? I had to go through all of that to get to the bottom of the stairs, to the top of the stairs, to the attic, get the luggage, to actually pack, to even stop off on the way to Afrocentric Network. Shout out. Hello. Because those ladies hook me up all the time. Listen. So I ran in there. I told them I got to catch a flight, right? And so they hooked me up and I went straight to the airport. And after going through all of that, when I walked there, everybody was like, oh my gosh, she's here. And I was like,
like you said earlier, what it took you.
Man. So I get on the flight, we land, we get to the day where I'm gonna have to speak, and I had a need. I had a spiritual emotional need to play this video of a sister Lindy Way from, there's a beautiful documentary called A Mandala, A Revolution in Four-Part Harmony. And there's one section where she sings a song and she talks about how music had to carry them even through burying their comrades. Right? Y'all with me?
Yeah, I'm with you.
So she sings the song and I play it because it talks about, you know, honoring those who have transitioned, you know, go well. And her face, she sings it in Xhosa. I'm saying it right. And I'm just like, I've got to play it. I find out they don't have the equipment. So now my critical need, spiritually and emotionally, was this has to happen because I'm from Louisiana. Okay, you can't walk up into somebody's house without offering something. So if it's a song, then it's a song. So then I said, well, I'm going to have to sing. So ask me if I can sing.
Can you sing?
Can you sing a lot?
I cannot. Okay. Ask me if I can sing in a choir.
Can you sing in a choir?
I cannot. Okay. Ask me if I had ever sang in front of anybody, like a group of people.
Did you?
I had not. Okay. But I had a need. So I said, okay, what do I need? So, well, let me practice it in front of someone. So a sister that worked in a hotel.
Voice, Lord. Can you send me down?
So I asked the sister in the hotel. And I said, hey, you know, I was just wondering, I want to sing this song. Not in English, by the way. Again.
I was going to say that. Have you spoken Xhosa?
No, I have not. Xhosa. Yeah. Probably butchering it. Please forgive me.
Yes.
South Africans. But so I said, I have not. So I sing the song to the sister in the hotel. And she looks at me and she said, go back and practice some more. So I was feeling awful. You know, I didn't want to be disrespectful. You know, this was such a sensitive time. Yeah. I didn't want to, you know, come off as like a parody. You know what I mean? Right. So I was like, what am I going to do? So I practice. I get dressed. The day comes. We get on the shuttle. We go over to Constitution Hall. And I'm walking in and my chest is like, doom, doom, right? Mm-hmm. So we get to the place where they're about to introduce me. And the sister that introduces me is the daughter of the woman that delivered one of Winnie Mandela's children in that prison. No pressure. And the introduction was so beautiful and emotion-filled and powerful and intelligent, right? And then at the end of the introduction, she says, and now let me bring up the sister, right? So I am in the throes of not feeling worthy. So I stand up, I walk slow, everybody applauds, and I walk slowly, and a voice on one shoulder was like, girl, ain't nobody even know you gonna sing that song. Why don't you just scratch that idea? Just let it go. Nobody even know. You didn't even tell anybody you're gonna do it. And the other one was like, go ahead and embarrass your great grandmother, right? Shout out to Beatrice Senegal Clues McGee, right? And go and embarrass her and not at least offer something of your soul during this time. Go on ahead and get up there and not do everything you know you should do, whether you feel worthy or not. Go on ahead and do that. So now I got these people arguing on my shoulder, right? Not the people. So I get up there and I stand there and I say, what do I need? Yes. So I do my opening. I acknowledge, you know, my ancestors that were not able to make a trip like this, my first time on the continent, right? And then I said, what do I need? Again, I said, I need to tell these people I can't really sing, and I need to ask for some grace. So that's what I did. I asked for some grace, and then I started, and I said, I need to close my eyes, because if they stay open, it's going to be a wrap. So I closed my eyes. I started singing the song, and y'all hear a little bit of it?
Sure. Yes.
Okay. And I know this is recorded, and you know what? Shout out to, you know, being brave, okay?
Yeah.
And forgive me those who respect this song if I butcher it too much, but in the spirit of just kind of giving you the feeling, right? It goes, Lihambile, lihambile, lihambile. Ikawe na makawe lihambile, ikawe na makawe hambagase. You hear my voice cracking? That's what it did. I'm getting emotional even thinking about it. And tears started to run down my cheeks. I was overwhelmed. I have chill bumps right now. It was just so overwhelming. I was thinking about where I was, and my throat closed up. And then all the South African sisters started singing and helped me finish the song. Had I not taken every single baby step to get there and tried to be courageous every step of the way, I would not even put myself in a position to allow someone to say, good job. We see you meeting a need, and we're here to help kind of put more air under your wings so that you can keep going. So I like to share that story when I speak, when I do anything, because I'm still scared to do things. There's more that I may face that I don't know. So there's no perfection. Just keep practicing. And I hope it inspired y'all.
Absolutely. And I think it's going to inspire a lot of folks.
Good. I hope so.
Yeah, those baby steps are important.
Very important.
I definitely get caught up in like, when am I going to get it together?
Yeah.
You know, and just maintain a strategic self-care plan, because I talk about it. I know all the
girl
theory.
You call me, I'll get you set up so right.
And you know what,
and the goal is not to need me, you know what I mean? Like that's the idea. You learn skills so that you don't critically need an individual. You learn them for yourself, and then we just become icing on a cake, like oh, let me check in and get, you know, or even an elder or you know, just a self-care dream team member, somebody that's excellent in the category of care, but you own the ability to do what you need to do. Does that make sense?
Yes,
it is.
Yeah.
So Anana came and spoke at the Fulani Youth Institute. It was smack dab in the middle of the pandemic. I think it was just when it started, and we didn't know what it was. I had just moved back to Atlanta, so I was like virtually trying to keep this youth institute together, and I was like, self-care, that's what we all need in this moment, because like we don't know like what's happening. And you came and you talked to these youth and you empowered them and had so much knowledge, and you even said to me, don't do that work alone. We can support you.
Right.
And I want to thank you for that. And I want to thank you for saying it again today.
Yeah.
Even, I wrote that down, self-care dream team.
Yeah.
Like, we need to, sisters, let's talk about how we can be each other's self-care dream
Definitely.
team.
Yeah.
And, have Anana come on to the team
Coach us
as
along.
well.
That's easy. That's easy. Once y'all get it, y'all gonna be like, got it. I'm
Yes.
telling you, every time, especially a black woman, every
Yeah.
time black woman learns that strategy, it's a wrap. When I tell you, it's a wrap. You're like, oh, I got it. Thank you.
But I love
Ashe.
the baby steps.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes, I think it's Martin Luther King quote where it's saying, you can't see everywhere where you're getting or the whole staircase. You can just see the next couple of steps. And oftentimes we feel so afraid, or we're looking at what's at the top.
Yeah.
Or what's over there, or what's furthest away from us.
Yeah.
Instead of like, okay, I can do this. And then when you do that, it empowers you to take the next step and the next step and the next step. So I appreciate the stories
Yes.
that you've shared today, and particularly that last one.
Yeah, no, my pleasure. And I think artistic self-care is about storytelling, dance, music.
Yes.
There's just certain things that are indescribable that you get that you can't label. And that's why I like the storytelling component.
Yes.
But I was honored to be a part of that program, because the pandemic had me shook too, but you best believe I was waking up every morning like, what do you need? And I just felt a lot more grounded.
Yes.
Yes.
So, wow,
This was-
what
it
a
was-
powerful
Very powerful.
It was
episode.
powerful.
Very.
And very needed. It's
Very
what we
necessary.
needed. It's what I needed.
Yes.
Like, what do I need? I needed this.
Yes.
Yes.
So yeah, it was great.
Yeah. So we have a game that we play.
Okay.
It's called the Power Five.
All right.
And it's 5 rapid fire questions and or phrases that we say.
Come on, Caesar Revolution.
And then you just respond with the first thing that comes to your mind.
Can I apologize to my grandmother and my family members for anything that comes out that I didn't catch in time ahead of time? I'm just playing. I'm just playing. Go ahead. Okay.
We're not timing you. Or
Okay,
anything.
okay, good, okay.
Your fast is what your fast is.
Okay.
What do you need your fast to be?
Right.
Okay, good. Okay,
Right.
good. Okay.
All right. So the first word is self-care.
Revolution, struggle. Yeah, that comes up for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
A book that everyone should read.
Self-care matters, a revolutionary's approach.
And tell folks where can they find
Yes, where can they find it?
It's on Amazon. You can reach out to me directly. Go to selfcareagency.com or ananajohari.com. But it's also on Audible, and it's my voice that's narrating. So
Yeah.
Oh,
I
nice.
love that.
I have audibles. So.
It's probably very soothing.
Yeah. Whirlwind.
powerful sisters. Past, present, and future. Ancestors touching every step. That's what I see. Yeah, that's what the wind is.
That sounds like
Yeah.
a prayer.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I felt that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Your favorite revolutionary?
Malcolm X, El-Hajj Malik al-Shabazz. Yeah, I was raised on not just what was done and popularized, but what I really appreciated was his particular decision to change in the public eye.
Yeah.
To shift
Yeah.
publicly
Yeah.
is not an easy thing, and that is why I really appreciate to go on a journey where you're not sure.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily, you didn't know yourself, right? You thought you knew yourself, right? You thought you understood things, and then you're given, bits of knowledge, and you're still piecing stuff together, at a grown adult age. And then you hit this age where things seem like they were in rhythm, and there was an anchoring purpose, and then you have to shift again.
Yeah.
So that's what I really admire about his walk, and I can name several other revolutionaries. Mama Njeri Algani, I really appreciate and
Absolutely.
respect. Ashe. So I probably will go on with the ancestors. So we probably
Right.
need to get to the
We're
next.
in this room. Right. Yes.
The last one is your prayer for the next generation.
to feel free enough to not only address your needs, but be creative about who you keep around you and how you address them.
Yes.
Right? The courage to ask yourself the question, and then the creativity to keep people around that, actually care about you addressing them. After that, it's just your purpose and your walk. After that, it is what it is. People are going to fall in line or they're not. But really the courage to ask yourself, what do I need? And the creativity to feel that freedom to be creative enough, you know what I mean, to address it. Like, after, man, they're so brilliant. The stuff that they come up with. Every time I ask my son, what do you need? Man, to see his face stop and wonder, it's a humbling experience because it reminds me this is his life and his walk.
Yes. Right.
And he's got messages for himself. Yes. So young folks have their own messages. It reduces the ego in me every time you ask questions and you genuinely want young folks to explore. So that's what I would want for young people.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
This is amazing.
You deserve an applause.
I'm so honored. Oh, so do you all. Thank you.
Yes. Simply beautiful.
Yes.
What's your line, Tewa? Take a bow, Mrs. Powers.
Right, take a bow, Mrs. Powers. We're good for some movie lines around
I
here.
love it.
Yes. Color
All the
purple
time.
is the
Right,
number
is
one.
our number
Yes.
one.
Yes.
Yes.
And you wore the color purple today, too.
Come on.
My
She
favorite color.
repping.
Yes.
She repping.
So thank you, officially.
Yes,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you
Honor.
so much.
This
Pleasure.
was an amazing conversation, a much needed conversation. People need to have it more.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so for listeners, play it back.
Yeah.
Send it to your friends. Send it to your loved ones, those who need to hear this
Yes.
message.
Take the notes. Implement them.
Get your self-care dream team together.
Okay.
Yes.
Get
And
Yeah.
go
strategic.
ahead and
That's
purchase
important.
the workbook that'll help you to engage in cultivating some tools and some strategies for yourself.
Definitely.
So thank you all for listening, and
Thank you.
until next time.
You have been listening to the Seeds of Revolution, Daughters of the Whirlwind podcast.
Listen to us at blackpowermedia.org or wherever you get your podcasts.
Follow us at Seeds of Revolution, that's Seeds with a Z, and Daughters of the Whirlwind on all platforms.
Be blessed.
Look for me in the world.